Are you guys ready for your first comedian of the night? This is a good friend of mine. She's a local favorite here in town. Please give it up for Keely. Whoa!
Micdropmania, how are we doing tonight? Yeah, I got some good news. I just got fired! And listen, my boss really tried to play the card that I was acting like a racist and a bigot. So I said, how else am I supposed to run for president? I did end up getting a full-time job. I'm loving it. It has benefits, and I get to work with aliens all day long. And I'm not even talking about Home Depot. I'm so tired of the job interviews, though, because the number one flag that they always say is, oh, we're just like a family here. Have you met my family? I'm here to avoid them, not make a new one. Although I actually hate going into Home Depot now because people now approach me acting like I know what I'm doing there just because I look like a lesbian. I don't even know how to operate a hammer. I'm used to getting nailed. I finally came out as pansexual. And someone decided to gift me non-stick spray as a lubricant. Came in handy. I want to tell you guys, I was actually born with a deformity. I actually was born with polysyndactyl toes, which means I have an extra toe and 3 of them are completely webbed together, which means I'm not even afraid of diabetes. I always have a spare. I unfortunately was actually diagnosed as pre-diabetic, so there goes my plans of ever having a sugar daddy. Will you be it tonight? Oh, yeah. I'll see you later, Daddy. My parents actually decided to play Wheel of Fortune before I was born, and they put 3 E's in my first name, and I'm still trying to figure out how they afforded all those vowels. Especially because we grew up really poor. Like, my mom tried hard, but she could have definitely tried harder in the kitchen, especially for a place where women belong. And she would always tell me, oh, it's made with love, sweetie. Mom, love is not enough, and if it was, you would have given it to me as a child. I have some disappointing news. My grandma actually recently passed away. But I'm not even upset with her because I was never invited to the funeral, but she died from dementia, so I think she just forgot to put me on the list. I did find out, though, when you get buried with a spouse, you don't get buried next to each other, you get buried on top of each other. So I looked at my man and said, you're gonna have to die after me, because God knows I was never good on top. Speaking of my man, though, he's so good that other women tried to get them to help them. And I'm like, how are you going to ask my man for help when you can't even keep a man? That's just putting it, period. My man isn't really like a big, strong man, actually. He's a very petite man, which means I could throw him over my shoulder like a sack of potatoes. So every time we go into Walmart, I'm scared he's gonna get kidnapped. And I'm like, sweetheart, please hold on to the grocery cart, or I'm gonna leave you in the car like a responsible parent would. actually a wonderful country singer, but as a comedian, my worst fear is that our kids are gonna end up being rodeo clowns. They'll definitely be making more than me. I have to admit though, I know that I'm also a bad person because I love the handicap stalls, okay? I love them because there is not a moment in time where I don't need to be supported and railed. I'm not stable at all. I actually broke a bone this year, unfortunately. And turns out when you break a bone, you have to be really specific with Jesus, because I went to him and said, God, just give me a break. He really does work in mysterious ways. You know who else works in mysterious ways? Do I have any nurses in the crowd tonight? God, I hate those guys. I am so tired of people that tell me to wait, and then they'll tell me my weight. And then when you're up on the scale, they're like, oh, you need to cut back on those carbs. You need to let go of those donuts. Well, you're gonna be driving on a donut because I slashed your tire in the parking lot, bitch. Thank you. I actually have been on birth control for so long that somehow I have gained all of the baby weight without the baby. And for some reason, the weight has been harder to abort. So I did switch plans eventually. I ended up getting an IUD, which stands for if you die, because I did. But they told me, all right, after the sperm is inside you, it's going to cut the heads off of the sperm. And I was like Star Wars? Skywalker, get the kids! It was phenomenal, and I have to reenact that scene every time I have sex now. It's beautiful. If you couldn't tell, I am a very, very big girl, actually. Which means, since I'm fat, my lips stay fat too, and I'm not talking about the ones on my face. I feel like you guys know me enough now. I apologize. But you're gonna know a lot more about me now. I want to let you guys know that I actually lost my virginity at a very young age. And I actually lost it doing anal. And that's how you knew I grew up Mormon. Relax, I did lose it traditionally as well. We went to the movie theaters and we ended up getting a bunch of candy. And we had a bunch of candy wrappers, and he put a Snickers wrapper on his cock. Fun size, mind you. And he looked at me and said, "You're not you when you're hungry, baby." And that's how I became a teen mom. Ooh.
What movie was it?
Juno. Except I decided to keep mine. Terrible mistake. I think someone else could have done a better job at fucking him up than I did. So I gave him to my parents. And let me tell you, he needs more therapy than I do. At least they can afford it. Let me tell you though, I actually am kind of a mama bear. So one day I decided to take my son to a water park. And As in waiting for the line, my son decided to exclaim, "This is stupid. I hate waiting." And so a child decided to interject and say, "No, you're stupid." And that's how I got a felony. Fuck around and find out. That's the mama mantra for the rest of my life. I also want to say, fuck you guys for coming. I have been Killer